So it's a very warm welcome to the Global Sports Channel show today to Mr. Michael Frater. Michael, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us, and I'm assuming that you're in beautiful Jamaica. Whereabouts in Jamaica are you today?
Well, I'm actually in Kingston at the moment.
Kingston.
We're a little bit under some rain, but it's still beautiful.
You were telling me about the rain. Is it due to stop before the end of the year, or do you think it's going to be raining all the way through to the end of the year?
Well, I'm hoping it stops. It has been 3 weeks non-stop, and we just heard that there's actually another tropical storm there. I think the name is Theta.
Theta.
That's on its way. So it's been raining a lot for the last 3 weeks, and I'm just hoping we get a break before the Christmas season starts.
Yeah, with these names of these tropical storms or cyclones, I think they've gone through the alphabet twice or three times this year.
Twice already, so they're now going on to Greek names right now.
Have they had a Hurricane Michael yet? Has that come through?
I'm not even sure. I don't not this year, but we've had quite a few.
I thought you might say that happens every Friday night when you go out in Kingston. There's Hurricane Michael. Now,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Before we kick off today, I give my guests the opportunity to dedicate their show to someone special in their life. So, who would you like to dedicate your show to today?
Well, for me, it would definitely be my grandmother. She's always been an inspiration for me, and she's no longer with us, but she was the one who actually, just made me realize that, if I want something in life, I could definitely go after it because, being a kid from the rural area in Jamaica, you wouldn't dream of being, one of the best in the world, and she always encouraged me. So whenever I'm going on the track, before I start any race, I'd always think of her.
That's beautiful. What was your grandmother's name?
Edna.
Edna. Well, I'm sure she's still with us in spirit, so we'll send out a big shout out to Edna today. And it's amazing how grandparents are inspirations for us, isn't it? They always tend to pop up in our life, yeah? So that's fantastic. Now, tell us about that because I'm wanting to start off to get to know you a bit more about when you were a young boy and all the things that were happening in life. You said your grandparents were influential, but your dad was a politician, right? So was that something that inspired you as well?
Well, not necessarily. My dad was a politician, but with that came a lot of responsibilities. So he was very busy. He was very busy. So, but he was always there. He made sure that he came to the track meets and all that stuff. So, yeah. But for me, it was just as I said to you, it was being from the rural areas. We don't get much opportunities coming from the rural areas because it's not Kingston, it's not bustling, it's not busy, and it's basically a farming community. So to get a chance to actually move on, I always had that dream that track and field was the vehicle for me that took me to college, took me across the world.
So before track and field came along, though, when you were a young boy, were you kicking around a football with your brothers and stuff like that, or what was the kind of sports that you hung out doing? Playing a bit of cricket in the backyard?
Of course, Jamaica. We love soccer here, but for me, it's always been track and field. Like ever since I can remember, we have something here in primary school that we have sports day, and it's basically it's kept once every year, and you start doing it and you start competing from like 5-6 years old, and I would always just look forward to it every year, like that was. It wasn't. I didn't even realize anything about the Olympics at that time, but it was just like when you look back at it now, it's like a mini Olympics, because we had track and field, we had like different other soccer and just different other sports, but the track and field was what I looked forward to, and from ever since I can remember, it was just something that I always wanted to do. I like soccer, but track and field was what I wanted to do.
Were you inspired by the great Jamaican sprinters of the past, like Don Quarry and Lennox and Ray Stewart and those guys? Were they guys that inspired you from yesteryear?
I mean, of course, but growing up back then at that particular time when I really got involved with track and field, I have to be honest, it was more it was more of Frankie Fredericks for me.
Okay.
Um, I just remembered the '92 Olympics, and that was my first Olympics, first time I remember ever watching track and field. And for some reason, just going through the rounds, I was just like, all right, you pick someone, and for me, that was just like that's my favorite sprinter. But after getting in track and field, and then started to study my history. Then I was always told of the feats of Don Quarry, and back then Raymond Stewart was coming on. He wasn't the most popular guy, but he was competing for Jamaica at a high level. And then growing up, going through like high school and primary school, we were taught about the greats like Otto Wind, Herb McKinley, and at the time Herb McKinley was a huge he was an icon in Jamaica. With Herb, he was actually still on the island, coaching at a high school, and he was a person that you could see whenever you go to a track meet. So they were like, that's Herb McKinley. You know, he was once the fastest man, and so we could actually relate to him. But I mean, Don Quarry was overseas, and it was only when you got to later on in high school that you would actually see him every now and then. But for me, Herb McKinley especially, he was there on the ground, and he was there where someone could actually say, all right, this man did it, so you can actually be something like him.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've got a little story to tell you today because I'm from a beautiful little country like yours, but this one's called New Zealand, and we sit in the bottom of the South Pacific Ocean there. And when I was 11 years old, my father, who was a sprinter, took me to the Commonwealth Games in Christchurch in 1976. I was 11 years old, and I saw Don Quarry win the 100 metres final and come out of nowhere, basically, because he only won that in the last 20 metres when he really surged to victory. And I fell in love with Jamaica on that day because I just thought, wow, here's a black man running so fast, much faster than these white guys can go, yeah. And this is really amazing. And I ended up following his career quite significantly, and he went on to win 3 more Commonwealth Game gold medals. Right, he was a icon in the world of sprinting. But that day just resonated with me, and I got my connection to Jamaica on that day, watching Don Quarry. So it's a real honour to be speaking to you today because you're from another generation. You've been around some of the greats in world sprinting as well during your time. Talking about Frankie Fredericks, though, he's also one of my favourites, and that 200 metres final in Atlanta with Michael Johnson was just something incredible. And I always felt sorry, and I still do to this day, for Frankie because he got second in that race. And look at the time that he ran that day, right? It was just phenomenal. So that was the race that inspired you, was it? Was that a race that you just thought, wow, I want to do something like that?
I mean, it's as I said before, it was even from before all of that. It was just a dream and a passion of mine, just to be one of the best in the world. Not many people believed it, but I had that dream and I just kept at it. But I mean, as I said, Frankie Fredericks, I think he has been the most unlucky sprinter ever. 2 silver medals in the 100 and 200 in '92, and then same thing in '96.
Yeah.
And as he says, running phenomenal times and getting beat.
Yeah.
It took a world record to beat him twice.
Yeah.
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So
it's a cruel game, isn't it? It's a cruel game when you're at the top of your game and you've got someone else that's just knocking you off the best. So when did it really click in your head that, okay, I wanted to be a professional track star? Was it inspired by your older brother Lyndon as well? Lyndall, sorry, was he somebody who went on before you? He competed in championships, of course, right?
Of course. He was Lyndall is 5 years older than me, so he's a bit much older than me. But it became a reality for me when he made the Olympic team for Jamaica when he was in high school. He was actually 18 or 19, I'm not sure, in 1996. And he made the team. So it was just like, all right. Then it was just like, things are possible now. We didn't think we would make the Olympic team. Now he's on the Olympic team. He's competing against all those guys. So it was just like, with him doing it before me,
Yeah.
it just resonated with me that it's possible. And, just kept at it. So, he made, I think he made 2 Olympic teams and multiple world championship teams. So, it was just like, all right, your older brother did it. It's not as far fetched as you would think if you had no one who would actually do it. So, and then he would just pass on his experience to me, as his younger brother. He would just teach me, and along the road that I was traveling. So, not that it was easier for me, but he kept me grounded and guided with doing the right things and just being dedicated, because track and field, you have to make huge sacrifices. It's not a team sport per se. It's just you by yourself on the track. So you definitely have to be on your A game every time. You don't have anyone to depend on but yourself.
Yeah. Now, I've got a sister who's 5 years older than me, and I had a similar situation in terms of, having someone older that was not only there as a guider, but did you also find it sometimes difficult that others were comparing you to your brother?
Always, even to this day, people are always doing it.
Yeah. So did you take that as did you use that as a positive, or did sometimes it get under your skin?
No. It was. I never use it as a positive, as a negative. If anybody asks me today, I would always say that he was the better one. Just using him as an example, because I really emulated my training and what I've learned because of him. Just watch what he did and just follow his footsteps.
Now, a lot of people watching and listening to us around the world today, they see the results of the Jamaican sprint factory, as I call it, constantly spinning out these amazing sprinters from your country. But what is it like to get started in that world? Like your first, real serious coaches, how did that work out for you? And how old were you when you got your first serious coach?
High school is a pretty big deal in Jamaica. We have the boys championship, which I think is the biggest sporting event next to the Olympics or the World Championships. It's right now it's a 5-day meet, and it's jam packed all 5 days. So, in Australia, where you have the rugby, and those are but in Jamaica, track and field. Those 5 days of champs, the whole country shuts down, and it's just all about track and field. So it was a big deal. So track and field in Jamaica has been very, very important, and as a big deal for a while now. So from we get to high school, especially the traditional high school that are always competing for the championship, it's been a serious game. So we've been having stiff competitions, like just. I've always told people that once you've competed at champs here, the Jamaican high school championship here, then you could never be nervous again. The competing at the champs my first time was the most nerve-wracking experience of my entire life.
Right.
Not the Olympics, not the World Championships, nothing as compared to those nerve-wracking moments I had the first time I actually stepped into the national stadium here in Jamaica. It was just you're walking through a tunnel, and as you get through a tunnel, it's just people. The stadium is packed. Everyone is roaring. The noise, the atmosphere is just electric, and it's just something you'll have to experience. But that experience taught me a lot. Like as I said to you, I've never been that nervous in any other competition in my entire life. So. So back then from high school, we knew how important track and field was to Jamaica, and we also knew that it was the perfect vehicle to take you to college, and that was an important thing for my family, was getting us into college. We weren't financially well off, where my parents had 3 boys, and they couldn't afford to send all of us to college.
Right.
So we knew that track and field was, that was what we were going to use to get to college. And fortunately for us, all 3 of us got scholarships to study abroad in the United States with track and field scholarships. So track has been serious and a big deal for me ever since high school.
Yeah, right. So going to the US, to college. That was a big step, yeah? Leaving home, leaving away from family and going to the big US of A. How did you enjoy that?
Well, fortunately for me, I actually got to spend 2 years of high school in Florida before I went on to college. My mom had migrated to Florida. So I actually went to 2 more years of high school in Florida after I left Jamaica. So, I mean, I got some experience there. You know, I was under the tutelage there of Coach David Bowden, which it was a huge inspiration for me. And when I got there, I was actually injured. Pretty bad in a wheelchair. And for some reason, you know, as I said, track for me was just a passion of mine. And at that time, I was on crutches, and you know, I would always just still go to the track. And not once, you know, did a person like Coach Bowden ever turn me back. He was just like, all right, this guy seems like he's serious about this, because I'm not sure if that actually heard something about me, because I was pretty good when I was competing in high school in Jamaica. So I'm not sure if he heard, but he was always there encouraging me, and we got over that injury. And my last year in high school there in Florida, I pretty much went undefeated, and he was just right by my side, just making sure I did everything right. And it wasn't just track and field; it was also getting good grades in school. You know, it was just that last year, especially with Coach Bowden, it was just like everything was just fallen in place for me perfectly. And got myself a full scholarship to Texas Christian University, where I competed on the NCAA circuit for 4 years.
Just before we get on to talking about the NCAA circuit, that having that coach and that mentorship for any young people listening today, that was an important part for you. Did you feel as though that was something that grounded you, gave you good overall, you know, self-belief in who you were as a person?
Of course, a person like Coach Bowden had been a huge inspiration for me. He was a no-nonsense guy, but he was also jovial, you know. But when it was time to get the work done, you had to get the work done, and you can't make excuses. What he always says, what you put in is what you get out, and you just knew that you had to put the work in. You had to make the sacrifices. I mean, when guys were going to parties and all that stuff, I was just like, all right, you know, I'll go there for a few, but I can't stay there all night. I can't be drinking all this or doing all that. And it paid off for me big time. Like, I knew that, you know, other guys were there with me, and who had huge potential as well, but they didn't see what I was seeing, or, you know, made the necessary sacrifices to move on. So, I mean, having someone like him who just made sure that you're on the right path was just huge for me.
Comes down to a lot of that comes down to self-discipline, though, right? Have you always been a guy that's been very self-disciplined in terms of your track career?
I'd like to think so, because nothing was handed to me growing up. Like, I had to work for everything I had. I remember, you know, back in high school in Jamaica, the first time I went out for the track team, they told me that, you know, I was too small, and you know, I was very disappointed. But you know, I wasn't going to let that turn me back. Even you know, up to this day, people would say, well, we didn't realize that, you know, you're so small. How did you manage to compete against all those guys? I mean, those guys are like 6'3", 6'4", but I'm not going to let that intimidate me, not one bit. So I think it's just been in me, a little fighter in me ever since. And, you know, I just knew what I wanted and just went after it.
Self-belief, yeah. Let's talk about the NCAA journey. Were you reunited then with a lot of other countrymen from Jamaica on that circuit? Was there a lot of guys in the States doing the NCAA?
Yeah, at that time, the NCAA was the big circuit for, you know, after you leave high school. Not a lot of guys went professional straight out of high school back then. So you met up with some of the guys who competed against in Jamaica, plus all that the U.S. had, because as I said, most of the U.S. guys there, most guys in general didn't go professional out of high school. They went to the NCAA circuit, which I think is a huge developmental circuit for guys, because not everyone is going to make it in the professional arena. And I would like to just encourage everyone to just go to college. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, one injury in your career may be over. So it's always good to get your education. Just have a backup plan. I mean, I know sports is what we love, but it's not going to work out for everyone.
Yeah, that's a
So
really good point,
yeah,
and I thank you for making that because not everyone gets to the top, and only a very small percentage do
only
make
a
it to the
very
top,
small
right?
percentage.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that time in the NCAA championships, what did it teach you as a runner? How did you progress during that time?
Um, I never actually won the NCAA championship. I was always so close. Second, third, but it just made me realize that not everything is going to be given to you. You just have to go out there and just work for it because, my closest I came. It was myself and Tyson K in the 2004 NCAA championship where we got both had the identical time, but unfortunately for me he got the victory. But I just learned a lot in terms of myself with competing. Like you realize then the college level will let you know if you're able to go to the next level or not because we were running times that are not as fast as the professionals, but it was competitive. You would know back then if you have the pedigree or the discipline to run professionally. So I mean I learned a lot. I had to make a decision when I was finished with it. Is it something that I wanted to do? And competing at such a high level, it was pretty much an easy decision for me, knowing that I did fairly well on the college circuit. So it was just now, competing against those same top tier guys in college in the professional arena.
So tell me, I'm interested to know when you're going through that process of your career evolution, is it all about the times you're running or is it about where you're getting in some of these competitions in terms of your places and that? What's the determining factor there?
For me, it wasn't necessarily about times. It was I was taught early. It wasn't about times. It was actually more about places for me because my coach, Stephen Francis, he coached me at Wilmers before I went off to the United States, and it was always during the championship season, like the preseason per se in Jamaica. You'd have guys running fast, but he would always say it doesn't matter how fast they run. It's just how fast they'll run with you, or if they'll beat you. So, I mean, many a times guys run faster than me, but once we get on the line together, I would beat them. So it wasn't as much for time for me as much as placement. So I
Hmm.
mean, for me, I was always in the top three in college. So um, I just used that for me, not necessarily times, as being one of the factors to determine whether or not I would go to the professional level.
Okay, so when you start off in a sprinting career and you have it as an ambition to do it professionally, do you look at the 10-second barrier as a benchmark? Do you say, okay, I've really to be in the top echelon of world sprinting, I need to be under 10 seconds? Is that how you look at it?
Um, Pretty much. I think back then the 10-second barrier was a lot more difficult to get under than it is now. But there was not a lot of guys that was running under 10 seconds, and it took me a while before I actually got under 10 seconds because guys, people were telling me that Asafa is the guy that this is that's the most. Well, he is. He has run the most sub 10. They'll often say that well, he's the sub 10 king, but I'm the one that's run the most 10 zeros because I was there for a while. Just can't break under 10 seconds, but you could guarantee that every meet I'm gonna give you 10 something. So I mean, it was difficult for me, but what I liked was I was consistent. So people, they were calling me Mr. Consistent back then because doesn't matter. I'm gonna give you that where it's rain, shine, cold, hot. You know what you're gonna get from me. So I was pretty consistent there, but I knew that to be one of the top tier guys in the world, I would definitely need to get under 10 seconds.
Hmm.
So I mean, it was always a goal for me, but took me a little while. But once I got under there, I pretty much stayed under there.
So what for us mere mortals sitting out here in the world today, what's the difference between going from that 10:01 to 9:99? Like what does it take from an athletic point of view to make that difference?
For me, it was a learning, just learning what my body needed to do. Like sometimes there would always it's not how hard you train, but how smart you train. And my coach worked with me that like we realized that we were doing a lot of running, but I wasn't as explosive as I was supposed to be. So we started doing a lot more plyometrics,
Hmm.
and it paid off big time. Like I got really explosive, and I remember it was just like, you get so much. I mean, you're still running fast, but it's easier. You have more power. You have more power. Just putting it to the ground and just clawing back. And for me, it's just you definitely just need a coach to actually know the specific type of athlete that you have, because as you know, everyone is different.
Mm.
Everyone is different.
Mm.
So for me, my coach realized that I needed more plyometrics in my to get me better, while some of the guys didn't need as much. But that's what I did, and it paid off big time for me.
So where and when did you run your first sub 10?
I actually ran my first sub 10 at the Olympics back in 2008. That was the first time I actually ran sub 10.
Okay, so in Beijing, yeah?
Beijing.
Right, okay. And how was that? How was the emotional feeling when you looked up at your time and you saw that you'd gone under 10?
I mean, it was bittersweet for me. I was disappointed with my position in the race, but I was like, all right, I'll take the time, because um, during practice and during training, going on to the Olympics, I knew I was in great shape, and um, I thought I would have run a little faster, because even in the semifinals, I think I ran like 10 flat in the semifinals, but I knew I had a lot left. So a little disappointed with the position that I actually got in the Olympics in the 100-meter finals, but it was just like a monkey off my back. I'd finally gotten um, to the under 10 seconds.
So do you think it's a mental thing as well to a lot of athletes getting under that 10? Do you think there's a kind of a emotional barrier to 10 seconds as well as the physical barrier?
I think it's more physical. With track and field, you have to be mentally strong from day one. Like
Mm.
I've seen guys that are you know huge talent, just huge talent, but if you can't actually compete when it matters, like say for the Olympics or the World Championships, then it might mean nothing. Like not that you can be good by yourself, but you actually have to be good while competing against people. So, I mean, running the time, I think it's more um, physical, but actually getting like a gold medal, it's more mental, because we have a few guys here who, you know, they're, they're running very fast times, but it's no competition. But
I was going to say you not only grew up in an era of superstars, but you grew up in an era of guys that were running like the wind, yeah, and like they
yes,
were running like someone was chasing them from Jamaica all the time, yeah. It was incredible. But I'm really interested to know, and I'm sure my audience is too. The boy that's come from the rural sector of Jamaica ends up in the greatest show on earth, in the Beijing and the London Olympics, the 100 meters. How does that feel to go from your roots to be standing on the greatest stage of all?
I mean, for me, it was just, it was just a surreal moment for me. Like just competing at the Olympics. That was my first Olympic finals, and then, I mean, you had Usain and Asaf at that time. Myself and Usain are actually from the same, pretty much the same rural area, maybe 30 minutes, away from each other. So it was just like, then it was just like, all right, first time Jamaicans, we're having three men in the 100-meter finals. Never in history have we had that before. I mean, back in the 50s, we had, those guys in the 400, but, in the 100 meters, we had three guys, and the last two world record holders at that time was Asaf Powell and Usain, because Usain had just broken the world record earlier that year. So
Mm-hmm.
it was just basically just coming of age for us. Well, when we got there, it was just like we would have been disappointed if we didn't have three guys in the finals, based on how things had just transpired those last couple of years. Since it was just like Asaf just came on the scene pretty big in '04. Thought he would have actually gotten the gold medal in '04, but unfortunately it did. But the following year in '05, I got the silver medal at the World Championship. So it was just like Jamaica is actually competing now. We are competing at the highest level with these guys, and you know, '08 it was just like a coming out party for us. Everybody was on their game, just competing at such a high level that it just rubbed off on everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did, and I'm imagining that when you're sitting in the waiting room before you go out on the track for the final, are you actually conversing with each other, saying, "Come on, let's go 1,
Yes.
2, 3 for Jamaica. Let's go and kick these guys' ass. Let's go and bring it home for our country." Is that what you're saying?
It was pretty much. It was the most relaxed environment for me because you're actually there with three guys, two other guys you actually know and you talk to, you're actually friends with. So it wasn't like we were rivals, yeah, but we still talk to each other and we were still friends. So it was just like once we go out there, we compete, and then after that we're good. But it wasn't for me, and after competing at champs and all of that stuff, it was just out there about just competing. Like that was the least nervous I've ever been in a race. It was just like, all right, it's the Olympic finals, yeah, but I'm comfortable. I'm not nervous. It's just me just now, focusing and just doing what I have to do.
Did you get down on the blocks at the beginning of that race and think about your grandmother?
Of course, as I said to you, every race before, once I get to the starting line, once it says on your mark, I just said, all right, just help me with this one. Just whatever it is, just help me with this one. So
yeah.
It was, I did. And but one thing though, I'll just like whatever the result is, I'm satisfied with it. I'll just go out there, just give my best, and win, lose or draw, I'm gonna be happy.
So tell me, you had the front seat of the house running against Usain, right? So, we all sit out here in a complete awe of the guy and what he's achieved in his career in every one of his races nearly. How was it for you getting on the start line with Usain? Was it already in your head that you were running for second place, or did you really think you could beat the guy?
No. I mean, we always knew it was going to be difficult to ever beat him, but for me, it was never about once you defeat yourself before. Once you think that you're going to lose before a race, it doesn't even make sense competing for me. And every race, it doesn't matter if the guys are bigger or taller than me or have faster PBs than me. I have to give myself some type of chance. I'll just all right. If I do this or if I do that or just something, I have to give myself some type of chance. And every race for me, it wasn't like I've never beaten him before as well. So it was just like I have to give myself a chance, or else. It doesn't make sense competing, and it might have been detrimental to me because in that particular race, I actually had a pretty good start and trying to compete with him through my race stuff pretty much because I think it was about 40 meters. You see those long strides coming by, and being so competitive that I was just like, all right, I'm gonna run stride for stride with him, and his strides are so long where it just messed my old stride pattern up and just messed my whole race completely up. So I mean, being competitive might not be the
the best thing.
The best thing sometimes, but it was just in my nature, just to regardless of who it is, big or strong, I'm gonna give you my best no matter what.
That's fascinating to hear you talk about that, though, that you actually had the consciousness during the race to be aware of his stride pattern and trying to match his stride pattern. Do you think other competitors tried to do the same thing with Usain?
I think they may have done it to their own detriment because no one could match strides with him. No, I don't think ever. Once he's fit and he's extending those strides, it's ridiculous. It's just something out of this world.
Yeah, exactly. So even you competing against him, you were also in awe of what he was able to achieve on the track.
I mean, I didn't see the race like after. Well, personally, let me just say this: I think Beijing, that 100 meters was the fastest race he would have ever run. I think if he didn't actually slow down and did all that showboating, he would have run faster than he ran the following year. But it was just like, after the race was finished and I saw well, he had just broken the world record, but it wasn't by that big of a margin because he had run 9:72 then 9:69. But then watching the replay and seeing how he did it, I was just like, this guy is out of this world. It's gonna be difficult for anybody to ever beat him.
Yeah.
At 70 meters, he just started looking around, just almost coming to a complete stop. It was just never seen before. No one expected it. He was running times that people. I mean, Maurice Green and all them ran 9:79, and you thought that was incredible.
Yeah.
And they took it down to 9:6.
Yeah.
And looking so easy, running faster than anyone had ever run ever. So, right then I knew it was something out of this world.
I used to be one of those guys that used to get annoyed with him when he didn't run through the line and he started to ease off, because I was thinking, come on, you could give us another couple of tenths of a second here, right? You could actually demolish this record beyond mankind, right? So what do you think he could have run in Beijing if he'd really gone all out? Do you think he could have gone...
He could have run 9.5 low. I think he could have gotten maybe 52 or 51, to be honest. Because,
yeah.
I mean, stop pumping his arms, just looking around.
Yep.
I think he could have run something insane.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's get back to you and your particular 100 metres, because a lot of people listening today probably won't understand the technical side of the 100 metres, because it's broken down to a lot of different phases, the race itself, right? So when we're talking about the start, it's such a pivotal part of the race in terms of getting that drive out from the blocks. And walk us through your procedure in terms of where did you break down your race to for 100 metres? What were the different components for you that you focused on?
For me, the start was critical. Like, I knew, I started studying the 100 meters, and I realized that, especially after Usain started, dominating, I was just like, we had to figure out some type of way to have a chance against him. And, we realized that for me, I was taking like 52 strides, and he was just taking like 38. So, you're going to have to be using a lot more energy, and, you're actually running more than him. Because he's just using 38 strides. You're using 52 to cover the 100. Well, it's the same difference, but you have to be covering more strides. So, I realized that, I definitely had to work on my start a lot better. And that's where, especially with the plyometrics, became important for me. Like, I knew I wasn't a 200 meter guy. So it's not like I'm going to have the not that we need the speed and endurance to take it through the 100, but I need to have a chance against him, Masafa, those guys. You had to be in front of them, because once they open up with their stride length in the last 40 meters of a race, you had no chance. So for me, it was always critical about executing, especially the first 60 meters, because if you didn't execute the first 60 meters against those guys, you don't have a chance. You're not going to run by Usain. If he's in front of you, you're not going to run by him. So you just definitely had to be out in front of him far enough to try and hold him off.
So that first, let's say the first 20 meters of your race, was it an area where you focused on keeping your head low and coming up slowly out of the position to get full speed? Is that how you did it?
I mean, we learned. We saw Maurice Green and John Smith kind of revolutionize the drive phase, and yeah, it was just something that we learned, and it worked. It worked for them, and it worked for us. So, and once we started doing that, we started running faster times. So it was actually about the race was broken down into just 3 different parts: the drive phase, the run phase, where you actually it's basically the acceleration phase, where you try to get to your top speed, and then it's all about maintaining after that. So for me, as I said, the first 30 meters were critical. You had to really get out, and you had to have the power, and that's where the plyometrics came in as well. You have to have the power. If you're not strong enough yet, you're not going to be able to stay down and drive for 30 meters if you don't have the power in your legs. So it's a technical thing where you actually have to your head down, as you said, but your hips has to be at an angle as well, where you're actually not just bending over, but you're actually driving from the hips, and just clawing back in the track. So it's not as easy as it seems. Like, some guys will just be out there just bending your head and thinking they're driving, and it's just wasted wasted time and energy there.
So to try and perfect that, especially when you're taking that technique on from another athlete who's developed it, when you're trying to implement it into your own game, is there a lot of video analysis that you're doing to check how you're progressing?
Of course, but that's where it comes in, where you actually have to have a very technical coach.
Mm-hmm.
For me, and especially Asafa back then, Stephen Francis had just grown into the best technically gifted coach in the world at the time. And you saw it work with both Asafa Powell, Nesta Carter, Shelley and Fraser, Elaine Thompson. He was just technically that good where he learned from all those guys, before him. And he came and actually perfected, especially the first 60 meters in terms of getting, the dry phase and getting up to top speed. So, videos always help with you yourself going back and looking back to what you are doing. But once you have a coach like that, if you make a mistake when you have a start session, he'll just pick it up right away and he'll just correct you. And, that's where, having a very good coach comes in hand.
Okay. Now, we've talked a lot about the good times and when things go right, but let's talk about a time where things didn't go right. And you probably remember, unfortunately, 2006, the Commonwealth Games in Melbourne, and a bit of a DQ for you in the 100 metres. How does it feel after doing all the preparation, all the work, getting through to the, flying all the way to Melbourne, Australia, and having a DQ in a race? How does that feel?
For me, it was the first and only time I've ever false started in my career, and I think it was me being a little too competitive again, because at that time I was in Australia for maybe a month. I actually came. It wasn't the first. I don't think it was the first time coming to Australia, but when I just got there, traveling across, how many time zones and whatever. The first, we competed at Sydney. I think it was Sydney first, and I ran 10.8, and I was just like, I ran those times when I was in high school. So it was just, but you have to remember the jet lag and the time difference and everything. And I knew I was in great shape, and I started getting down the time. So at the Commonwealth Games now, I was the second at the World Championship the previous year, and Asafa Powell didn't compete, but as far as I knew, the only rival I had going to the Commonwealth Games was Asafa. In the prelims, did pretty good, felt pretty easy. Quarterfinals was even better. I was just getting into myself. And then the semifinals, I was just like, all right, this is, it's me against, I just felt like it was my semifinals to win. And then it was one false start and the next one charged the field. And Patrick Johnson.
Yeah, Patrick Johnson.
He false started.
Yeah.
And before we went out there, I don't remember if it was him or somebody was saying that he was going to false start on purpose to kind of get the field to stay in the blocks because he didn't have a particularly good start.
Wow.
So, after he false started, in my head I was just like, whatever. This is I'm not gonna sit in the blocks. I'm just gonna dismantle this field right now.
Right.
And for some reason, I don't know what happened. But
hey man, it backfired, man. It backfired.
It backfired big time. So.
Did you feel gutted though after that? Like, were you thinking, oh no, like that was mine to have?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did after that, but I just had to brush it off, and I went to the coaches right then, after the meet, and I was like, all right, I was supposed to run second leg on the 4x1, and I was like, you know what, get me back out there and start. I just need to, get this out of my head. I don't know how I actually false started. Put me in start leg, and started the relay at the Commonwealth game for the, and it was just, we went out there, we won, which was good. But I was very disappointed because, as I said, I had fancied myself to not being, less than second, but actually competing with Asafa. I think he ran like 10:03 or something like that. But I think I had a very good chance of actually winning the Commonwealth Games that year. And because I think I was just rounding into shape at the right time. And
Yeah.
as I said, I had to give myself a chance in any meet. And
Yeah.
I felt pretty confident going into those Commonwealth Games. So it was disappointing for me.
Right. Let's turn the brightness and positivity on again, though. Let's go to London 2012, and athletics, sprinting is quite a unique thing because you get to compete as an individual, but then you also get the opportunity to be part of a team in the relay, right? So it's a unique sport as far as that goes. Ncaa, Johann Blake, Usain Bolt, and Michael Frater in a relay team. That's the dream team, isn't it?
I mean, it was actually. Asafa was supposed to be on the team as well, but he got hurt in the 100-meter finals.
Right.
It was actually supposed to be myself, Asafa, Johan, and Usain, and Asafa got hurt. But nonetheless, it was we knew Nesta was running fast, regardless. It was just, I mean, for me, that relay was just like, all right, if the U.S. they were like, at Beijing they got disqualified. Like nothing was going right for them. But in London, they had 3 guys in the finals, just like us. And I think that was the best chance they had about beating that particular team that we had, because they had 3 guys. I think they had 2 guys running 9.8 and 2 running 9.7, because
Right.
Tyson Gay was running 9.7 and Justin had run 9.7 as well. So I think they came in the race thinking that they were actually going to win, because, I mean, they had 3 guys in the finals, 3 guys running fast, and Asafa was out. I mean, we had Usain and Johan, but they had it in their mind, or thought that they were gonna actually be in the lead going into the final leg. But
You put paid to that. You put paid to
I
that.
was like,
Man.
I was just like, you know what?
You ran
knew that
eight.
we
You
had
ran
Usain.
8-9, right? You ran 8-9 for your leg.
Something like that. I think it was either 8.9 or 8.8, something like that.
Wow, that's insane! Insane that time.
But it was just making sure that I did my job. Like, I didn't. One thing about me, like, people always say that once you have Usain on the team, you're gonna win. And I kind of took offense to it, because we had three other good guys there that are we're not as good as Usain, but we're good. And we just went out there and said, you know what, we don't want him to be behind. We're gonna make sure that when he gets the baton, he's in the lead.
There's
So
so let's look at the race though, because 36:84, I think it was the time. That's
yes.
insane time. And I don't want you to blow away Nesta here, but do you think if Asafa was in there, you could have gone a little bit faster as well?
Well,
Yes.
it would have been I think it would have been something special. But
Yeah.
the only thing with Nesta, we had a very, very good exchange. And sometimes, exchanges, culminate with foot speed, because as we see with the guys, especially from Japan, they're not the fastest guys in the world. But once you get good exchanges, then you can run pretty fast. So
Yep.
I think Asafa knows how to do the exchanges as well. So yeah, we would have run a little faster.
You would have run a little faster. Okay. As I say, we're not dishing on Nesta here. We're just saying that, okay, potentially it could have been a faster time. So we all love this Jamaican-US rivalry that happens at the Olympics with the relays. It's something that's a highlight of the whole games for me anyway. Is it something you guys are really aware of before you go out on the track? You want to kick the butts of the US team?
Of course. It was them dominating before. And it was always, that arrogance that they had. They were the best and they knew it, and they let you know that they're the best. And you're going into a race and you're just running for second or something like that. So we didn't want to give them any chance.
Yeah.
No chance at all.
Yeah.
Not the relays, not the 100, the 200. Once we got to the World Championship or the Olympics, it was just no. This is our time.
Right.
And everybody was just made sure that these championships, you're on your A game. You're on your A game. it's a once in a lifetime opportunity,
Yeah.
and we're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Now, are you one of the guys that appreciates the fact that you actually had your career during the time of Usain and you were part of that phenomenon as well? Or would you have rather had your career outside of that where you might have won some more races and medals and championships? How do you feel about that?
No, for me, it's like I said, I love competition, and if he's better than me, he's better than me. So I enjoyed it. It brought track and field so much attention and energy. It was just something out of this world. Yes, some people may have been overshadowed or something like that, but I think it was just a golden era. It was just, it has been the most phenomenal era in track and field to me thus
Yep.
far.
Yeah.
And we were just witnessing something that's beyond this world. I don't know if anyone will ever break any of his record, but if they do it, it's going to take somebody that's darn good to actually run those times that he had once. So I mean, I enjoyed it. Enjoyed every moment of it. It just brought more attention to track and field, and just you know, it made track and field fun to watch again. So I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, brilliant. Good answer. And I'm really pleased to hear that you appreciate greatness, and it leads into my next question, because I wanted to ask you about, you're a world-class sprinter and you've been on the biggest stages, but when you look at other athletes like Eliud Kipchoge, like Joshua Cheptegei, and what these guys are doing now, to run sub 2 hours for a marathon, to smash 5,000 meter world records like Cheptegei did recently in Monaco. How do you look at these other athletes today that are doing these phenomenal things? Are you in awe of them as well?
Of course, it's like I am a student of the game in track and field. I only, some athletes are they only watch their event or say the sprints and stuff like that. But I've always been a fan of the distance race and stuff like that. Those times kind of shocked me this year. I didn't expect it, to be honest. Thinking that people were kind of taking it easy because of the crisis that we have. So it was shocking to me. Like, I've only noticed him at the Olympics. No, it wasn't the Olympics. The World Championship the previous year, and that he was good at cross country. So, coming to the track, I didn't realize that it was that good until he won the World Championships. But he has just been phenomenal this year. Like, every time he has touched the track, it's a world record. I am, I'm wanting to see what he's actually going to do next year. And I am not sure, but I hear that Mo Farah is actually coming back to compete. So, and Mo is someone like he's a championship guy. So he'll run his best races at the championship. So it won't be about fast times for him, but just running a tactical race and just doing what he, winning the championship. So it's going to be interesting. I'd like to see him actually run those fast times at the Olympics. Then, I'll really be in awe, because it's good when you're by yourself and you're comfortable and you're just doing what you want to do and just dictate the pace and do everything. But once you have competition and you have to be tactical in the race, it's going to be different. So I'm very looking forward to it next year. I really like the distance race. I've grown to just admire it a lot. From the days of from El Garouge, going back when he went to the 5,000. I didn't even expect him. He was a 15 guy who jumped up to the 5,000. I didn't, I was like, all right, I know he has the speed, and he just ran a tactically good race and just won. So, I mean, especially people who appreciate track and field would enjoy those races a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're in for a great time. I was just watching some videos yesterday of Mo training, and he's looking in awesome shape. He's getting himself back onto the track. And I tell you what, we've got David Rudisha coming back in the 800 too. He's going to try and come back and win the Olympic gold again in the 800 next year, which will be a phenomenal comeback after being away from it for a couple of years. Yeah, so yeah, I'm like you. I love to see these guys against each other rather than against the clock, because that's when it really sorts the men out from the boys, right?
Very much so. Very much so.
Now let's talk about, just before we finish up today, let's talk about your current situation in life, because you're doing a fantastic thing. You decided to start a business during COVID-19, and of course it's got to do with the track life again. So tell us about what you're doing now.
For me, we started a track club. It's myself and a former teammate of mine, Gregory Little. We started a track club, the Titans track club. And for me, starting it this time, it was just, for me, Jamaica has been, the guys have not been transitioning the right and proper way for me. Like, they're still competing at a high level at the boys championships. Like, we'll have like guys finishing at champs with 10-1s and 10-2s, and then the next few years they're just disappear. So I was just like, all right, you know what? I'm also a part of the administration, the J3 years there, the governing body. But um, I like to get in the gutters, so to speak, just trying to help out as much as I can. So I mean, I started just interacting a lot more. Just all right, you see an athlete every now and then who will come up to you and they'll ask you questions. But I started, I went to a high school just to talk to athletes and then just be around them. And you realize that back then, as I said, I didn't have someone that would actually interact with me like that. And those guys would just gravitate to every word that I say. Like, they'd ask questions that you wouldn't believe that these guys would know. Like, they want to know how to be good, what they need to do, and they'll just hang on to every word that you have. And one of the things is just giving back to them the experience that you have, because you don't want them to make the same mistakes that you did, and you would actually like to help them to just transition better from being someone that's 10-1 to getting down to 9-9 or 9-8, because Jamaica, the last World Championships, we didn't even make the finals of the 4x1 relay, and it hurts because just the previous year, unfortunately, I mean, Usain got hurt in the finals, but before that, we have won maybe like 6 or 5 World Championships, the Olympics, everything. We were just winning, and it hurt to know that we can't even make the finals of the 4x1 anymore. Um, Not that the world is catching up. We have good sprinters from all across the world right now, but our guys are falling off. Like, I think last 2019, Johan Blake was the only one to break the 10 seconds from Jamaica. I remember back in 2012, I ran 992 at the trials, and I got fourth.
Wow.
I didn't make the team, running 994.
Wow.
And right now, if you're running 10-1s, you can make the team. So it's been a fall off. So, I think it's just time to just, get back there. We've had the experience. We know what we are, what we've done. And I've been trying to encourage guys to just, come back. If you're not a coach, just try to, interact with these guys. Just talk to them some more, because we still do have the talent here. And it's just about guiding these guys on the right path. Like, I know some of them have gotten things a little bit easier because of what we have done. Because contracts now, like track and field contracts, are now given to them with not doing what we had to go through. Like we had to go through the fights, beating people and showing them that we are good. And right now, once you show a little promise, a shoe contract will just swoop in and say, all right, he's the next Usain Bolt, he's the next this, he's the next that. And then they'll get comfortable. And, you won't have guys that are, they won't transition. They'll get a little money and a little fame early and then just fall off. They'll just blow by the wayside. So right now, I'm just trying to get in there, just, let them know it's not, you can have a little money, but look at Usain Bolt, look at the soccer ball. You can actually make a life out of this. You could actually use this. You could go to college. You could just do so much more than just getting a quick buck and then that's it. And you have to have the pride to actually compete at such a high level, especially for your country. Because for me, it was just an honor, competing for my country at such a high level. The when you go to different countries, people appreciate and respect and know what you have done. So I think it was just time for me to just really get back in the trenches, to just try to do the best I can, to just try to help the Jamaican track and field, especially the male side, just get back on the world scene. The women have been doing great. Like we have maybe the two fastest women. It's almost given that they're gonna get the gold at the Olympics next year. So the men are just lagging behind now. It's just time to just try and help them just rebuild.
Yeah, that's brilliant, and it's great to hear you talking like that. We do live in this society today across the world where these young guys in particular, they want quick fame, they want quick fortune and all the rest of it. So how do you actually plan on bringing the hunger back for them? What are you specifically going to do in your program that's going to make them hungry?
Well, the guys that are actually in the program that I have, it's just about how you treat them, the mentality that you have to instill with them from a young age. And
yeah,
I'm not gonna like the guys there. They're not that a dictator or something like that. But when we were under Stephen Francis, it wasn't no joke. Like this is your job. You're coming here to work. Nothing is given to you. You're gonna have to earn everything. You have to earn the respect. Whatever contract you have, you're gonna have to earn it. And fortunately for me so far, I've gotten a group of guys that are actually, especially the younger ones, who actually they've gotten the attitude that they've been showing is just tremendous, and I'm very excited for the training they have put in so far. I mean, it's only been a few months, but the promise that they have shown so far, I'm just amazed by it. And I mean, right now we have Yohan Blake, and he's trying to get him back to where he was. I mean, it's difficult from the injury that he had back in 2013 to actually get back to those times. But I've been there working with him, trying to get him to get back that hunger, because one of the things that he had lost was just the passion for track and field. Like you can see guys that are just going through the motion, and going through the motion is not going to help you. You have to be hungry. You have to be, just passionate about it. And he's coming back. He's coming back somewhat. He's regaining, that hunger, that passion for it. So, I mean, as I said to you, I'm a passionate guy for track and field. It's a sport that I love. It's a sport that's brought me, gave me an education, took me to college, everything. So it's something that I love, and it's what I've been trying to teach these guys. Like, track and field could take you. I mean, not many of them are from a fluent background, so this could actually take them to another level. It could, but you have to make the sacrifices and just have the passion and just have the drive to get it done.
Yeah, fantastic. I love what you're doing, Michael, and I think what we're going to see in the not too distant future is we're going to see a lot of Michael Fraters coming out of Jamaica. We're going to see lots of new Usain Bolts and Asafa Powers. Is there anyone in your group at the moment that you can see has got that superstar potential in your group at today?
Well, I have two younger guys who they're just 18 years old right now, but they've been showing huge promise. A young man by the name of Akeem Blake, and Javari Thomas. They have been looking spectacular thus far. One of them he's still a junior, so I'm taking my time trying to get him, develop him the right way. And one of the things that some of the guys here are doing, they're kind of rushing them to get to the professional level, instead of just actually just letting them develop naturally, but still doing the work, doing the right thing. But I'm not going to force them to have them burn out early, because some of these guys, you get the best out of them in high school, and then after high school they're no use to themselves. So yep. I've been taking my time with these younger guys, but they've looked very well. Like within the future, I guarantee you remember that name, Akeem Blake.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, I'll tell you what, if I can help with Akeem Blake's media training, he can come on the show and have a chat to me and learn how to be on camera and how to deal with the media, and that can also help him on his journey as well. And I can ask him a whole lot of questions about his coach, and he can tell me about Michael Frater.
Of course. Because, well, he's just in a shell right now himself. He's a little shy guy. You're actually trying to get him out of him. So he would be great for it.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. Well, listen, I could talk to you all day. It's been fascinating fun, but we've actually sprinted through our 100 meters online today. And I tell you what, you've inspired me to go outside today and find out how many strides I take for 100 meters. I want to know how many strides I take. So, hey, Michael, thanks so much for joining me on the Global Sports Channel. It's been an absolute buzz. You're welcome back anytime you want to come back on the show. And yeah, to you and your group, all the very best. And I know you're going to be hugely successful.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great time. We'll speak soon, okay?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael. There we go. Michael Frater, what a fantastic guy, talking to me from beautiful Kingston in Jamaica. And how humble was he? He's been running with some of the superstars of world athletics for his whole career. And he doesn't for 1 second downplay how fantastic his own career was. Well, I hope you enjoyed that particular episode and my chat with Michael. Hope to have him back on the show one day and get some of his young guns on here as well. If you haven't been checking out what we're doing at the Global Sports Channel, now's time to go over to our website at globalsportschannel.com. And check out all the other episodes we've done there. There's been some fantastic elite athletes from around the world that we've already spoken to. We've only just started the show, so there's going to be plenty more coming. If you haven't connected with us on social media, please do so. Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, we're all there. Drop us a comment. Tell us what you like about the show and tell us who your favourite athlete is, and we'll try and get them on the show and interview them. Also, don't forget we're on YouTube, so subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's under the Global Sports Channel. Subscribe, hit the button, and you'll be notified every time we drop a video. So there we go. That's it for this particular episode. My name is Mark Philpott. Happy to be here with you all. Stay safe, stay happy, and stay fit, everyone. Until next time, we'll see you soon.